just reiterate, I'm Sarah Storr. I'm library faculty here at Rio, and I've been part of the committee formerly known as Maricopa Millions, now Open Maricopa, for the past 7 years. And one of the things that has been, there are a lot of great things about being on that committee, but a highlight for me is getting to learn from my colleagues about the work that they're doing. I always leave those meetings feeling inspired and like I have, concrete takeaways. And so I'm really excited to be able to be a part of this today. So hopefully we'll all draw some more inspiration from the amazing work that this group of colleagues has tackled over the past and, in many cases, over a long number of years. So I'm going to start with the hardest question of all today, which would be, can each of you please introduce yourselves, give us your name, your discipline, and then if you could give us just a brief overview of the OER project you're going to highlight today. Paula, I'm going to start with you. I'm sorry I gave away her name to everyone, but
Hi there. So a skill testing question with the name and introduction. Paula Crossman, I'm library faculty at Paradise Valley Community College, and I'm really delighted to be here, and I'm blown away by that number that we just announced. And I don't know, I feel like we kind of need to give Open Maricopa another hand because that's so freaking amazing. I'm just so grateful. PVC has had a lot of amazing folks working on OER for a number of years. I've probably been involved for about 10 years. I started at Maricopa 11 years ago at PVCC. But the focus that I'll be talking about primarily today will be the transition of the Bachelor of Elementary Ed and Special Education to a fully open pathway and how we accomplish that. So that'll be kind of my focus for today.
Thank you so much for coming out on a Friday. I know it wasn't just for breakfast, so really appreciate you all coming out. And thanks to those who are watching online. Are they up there? Or are they back there? Where are they? They're everywhere. So I am Donna Tannehill. I'm currently at Rio Salado College, and the project that I'll primarily be talking about today is the conversion of OER at Rio. But I do want to give a huge thank you to the amazing math faculty at Scottsdale. I started in OER in 2012, and it was the faculty at Scottsdale that wanted to do OER for our students. And I will say it was most of the faculty in the department, and you can't make people do OER. They genuinely wanted to. And so it was like this perfect storm that came together of people that wanted to find a homework system, people that wanted to write materials, people that wanted to make things more accessible for students so that they had access to the materials on day one. And it just came together. And so because of the nature of open, I've been able to leverage all of that amazing work into the project I'm working on now at Rio. So just more and more students are going to benefit from where all that started. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Annapurna Ganesh, and I'm from Mesa Community College. I'm an early childhood education faculty member. Way back in 2010 or 2009, during a conference, we heard, along with my colleagues who are right here, Jennifer from the CTL, went to at a conference, we heard about OER. And from then, this acronym became something new, something that we adopted. And so started exploring that. Have been a member of the OER, CCC OER Google group since that time. I just went to email to look back, and it was way back then that became a part of that, just to know what is going on. Of course, started searching for early childhood resources since then. There hasn't been much, a huge call out to College of Canyons. And I heard Lisa that they're going to be here later. College of Canyons pulled together their this is like a sneak preview to what's coming in the afternoon, probably. They pulled together their faculty member. They worked with their state to be able to start offering open educational resources, and they did it in early childhood also. So it was a cold call to Jennifer Paris over there. I think I get closely associated with people who have names Jennifer, it looks like. Uh, Jennifer Paris, she immediately said, so first thing was that I'm not from California, but from Arizona. Let's open it out to people from outside of California. She did that. There were so many of us in early childhood waiting on the sidelines. We jumped on board immediately. So their group just grew for early childhood. For our lower division courses, we've started with them. And today's project that I'm going to speak about is the Bachelor Creator Fest, for which we continued forward with our upper division to seek OER resources, and that's what we built in over there. A celebration for all of us. This is our first set of bachelor's graduates from Maricopa in spring 2025.
Hello, good morning. I am Filippo Posta. I studied at the Maricopa Estrella Mountain as a math faculty, and I'm currently at Phoenix College as both math faculty and computer science. I embraced more as soon as I became part of this big family. And that's one of the things I'm gonna discuss about. The other thing I'm gonna discuss about is the OER development grants, something that I took advantage of, that I enjoy doing, because it gives us a great way to keep our pedagogy up to speed with what everybody else is doing around the world, and take advantage of the great things that all of us do in our classes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. That is helpful context for where we're going to go with our questions moving forward. So I'm going to start each question with a different member of the panel kicking things off, just to change things up. And then if there's time at the end, of course, if there are questions from the audience, we'll take those as well. So Paula, you'll be first again. How were you able to leverage OER to accomplish your teaching and student learning goals?
Oh, sure. So, and of course, I had to bring my notes. Because I'm representing other folks. I'm not here to claim that this is all my work. I've been involved in this project, but I'm so grateful in developing this, the bachelor program for elementary ed and special ed. We were really lucky because so many folks in the 100 and 200 level classes and the associates level had done a lot of work already in building an almost full AJAC. So we're down to like one class that we need to transition, and we're so close to a full AJAC at this point. But those folks laid the groundwork and made that possible. And then with the BA SPE and EE, the faculty there were like, we're going to make this pathway fully open from the get go. So we want to make it free, but they also had to develop about 15 brand new courses in addition to building OER. So those of you doing this work, you know how incredibly labor intensive it is to build a text or build a course. And so this is where the library became involved in saying, let's ease that transition for you, and let's do a combination of both OER and library subscription sources so that you can focus on building your curriculum, and we will integrate ebooks that we can purchase, articles from scholarly journals that are available in our extensive collections. Ease that transition a little bit because you're building entire courses. And that was really what made that possible. I think the hope down the road is to transition some of those things to fully open, because we always want to give back to our community. But this at least gave us a foothold to be able to make it free for all students there. I'm just checking my notes here. I think the reason why leverage can help with teaching and learning is that also all of these fields that we work in, all of our disciplines are changing really rapidly because of technology and because of how our society is changing. And when we embrace OER, it really gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to talk to students about what's happening in the real world and how their disciplines are impacted by what's happening in the real world that we can't really do when we're as dependent on publisher text. So that would be an example of how I think that impacts teaching and learning. All that.
We'll just go straight down that line. You had it, Donna. Thank you.
All right. So as I'm sitting here thinking about this question, it is really impossible for me to separate the work I'm doing at Rio now from where all this started at Scottsdale. And I do also want to call out a foundational member who's in the room, and that's Bill Meacham sitting over there. He is retired now from Maricopa and is teaching for us at Rio in math, which I really appreciate because his expertise with more is unmatched. So it's really great to still have him on the team. But I will say, when we started at Scottsdale, I talked about these kind of perfect storm. We were getting into the mode. Remember back when hybrid first was a thing, and we were teaching with a publisher set of materials, which I'll remain nameless. I won't call out any publishers in this room, but we all know who they are. Anyway, so we were teaching hybrid and realized that the students might need a little more support than just here, go do some problems. So we're like, well, let's make some videos. So we started making videos, and we're like, well, where do we put them? And so we need a homework system that we have control over, so that we can put videos in and we can structure and scaffold all the learning and all of that. And so we found MOER. We're like, oh, there's this free math platform that has assessments, it has homework problems. It's like an LMS. So we started using it, and we started making videos. We started writing materials. So all of those activities were designed to help us meet the needs that we saw in our students and in our classes. And then we started to experience, great success as these things started to come together, because as a faculty, we felt like we now were in control of the curriculum that we were presenting to our students. One of the challenges with publisher materials is necessarily to keep their business profitable. They try to be all things to all people. And so as a result, you get these really bloated texts with all kinds of things that you may or may not need, but somebody might need it, so it's there. But because of the nature of OER, we're able to address our competencies. We could talk about the specific things we wanted to do in a specific math classroom. And if it changed or we wanted to modify it, boom, we had control. We could do it immediately. So it really is about using OER. I mean, that's what we were doing at Scottsdale, was designing these things in the moment, at just in time, many times, to meet the students where they were and to meet the needs that we saw in our classrooms every day. And to me, that is the power of OER, beyond the fact that, yes, it's cheaper, but it is about access, and it is about faculty locus of control. Bring the control back to the experts that know what they need to do for their students.
Okay. All right, let's mix it up. So I'm gonna talk a bit from the perspective of the OER grants, and I'm sure some of you, or probably all of you, have had a project in your head and thought, next semester I'll do it, next summer I'll do it, and that's that's the nature of the beast, right? And then sooner or later, it's gonna be next semester, it's gonna be next summer, and that's actually what happened with the OER grants. Sorry, I apologize. Of course, my watch now goes on at the worst possible time, and I, with the Maricopa Million, with Lisa and Matthew, they told me about these OER grants and read their emails and finally applied. And the reason why I apply is because, why do we have these projects? We find material, we find work from other colleagues, from other peers that we want to use in our classroom, and we don't have the time to adjust it because of our specific population. For our students that maybe want to need to see things in a different way, that they're taught at MIT in their open courseware, or at Stanford, or at CUNY, or whatever you find your inspirations. And with these open grants, the great thing is that through the mentoring from Lisa, Matthew, Debbie, you get a lot of support and to do the work, and also at the same time you get that little fire that keeps burning and keeps you going, because you know that now you have a grant. Now you have to meet a little bit of deadlines. They're not major, but at least you have those deadlines, and all of a sudden, what was supposed to be always the next semester, the next year, becomes this semester, this year. And that's what has happened to me. There's this class called Discrete Math 227, not a major class. And there was this great book that British mathematician at Colorado State wrote, which is a really great, interesting book for math nerds. But for my students that are computer scientists that just with enough math so they can get their computer science degree, they want to do something different. And so I decided, okay, I really wish I could adapt this book to my students. And that's exactly what the grant did for me. And it can do did the same thing for a lot of people that did the Open Maricopa grants development for a course. And hopefully some of you will do the same. And I'm very happy to discuss anytime. You can email me, message me, Zoom me, or stop me and buy me coffee. And Annapurna, that's your turn now.
Thank you. When the bachelor's degrees, it's wonderful that that we are offering bachelor's degrees in Maricopa, but it was very daunting when the proposal came around just before fall 2023, and we said that all right, it's going to launch in fall 2023. Our early childhood program at Mesa Community College, 2 residential faculty members. Fortunately, we had the leverage of our lower division courses where we had already set them up with the OERs, and that curriculum was developed. Bachelor Creative Fest. Debbie, huge shout out to you. She's been our buddy over these 2 years. If not for Bachelor Creative Fest, the template, that awesome template where it's like planning the curriculum, working out the details, we started out with that with our first few classes. I don't think Jamie Lopez and I could be here today with all our classes curriculum developed and if not for Bachelor Creative Fest and the support that we received through Bachelor Creative Fest. Or from the angle of the OER, we did what Donna and Paula spoke about, because it is for the lower division OERs. Here, we felt empowered to use the support of MCC library support, and now it is curated with articles and books that we suggested to them that they were able to get us e-resources of. But now it's curated by the content of that module. We're pulling in the resources that become their readings, or we call them the resources more than readings because sometimes it's videos and it's not only reading. So that's how we've been able to curate it based on the support from the library and using the library resources. Our students are big fans of MCC Library. Told them that's Maricopa Library because now they know that they can easily get it. I'm also going to give a shout out to MCC has a program called the I Belong program. And I Belong is the CTL initiative, and it's a college initiative for us at Mesa. The bachelor's degree classes, we immediately adopted the I Belong. It's a device, low cost access program for our students. Students who are in the I Belong program receive a device and they are able to they can use their device to access all their resources. They come to campus in the beginning, they pick it up, they come to campus at the end to return it, unless they have classes on campus. We were able to use that, and so we made all our resources device friendly so that they can now access it on, doesn't matter whether it is a tablet or a phone. So we worked on doing that with our modules.
Thank you all. That's wonderful to hear. So next question, I think I'm going to skip one because you all sort of touched on this motivation piece for why you transitioned your courses or your disciplines to open resources. So let's talk next about the impact that you've seen on student learning, on student satisfaction, on student engagement. since you've implemented new OER materials in your discipline. So Donna, we'll start with you. Thank you.
When we started with the OER materials at SCC in 2012, I'm trying to remember the year we did the survey with BYU, the study. I think it was 2012, 2013. So we surveyed all of our students. And the interesting thing about it's this with it's our jargon, right? So we use OER. They don't know what OER is. They don't know what it stands for, but they know that they didn't have to buy their books, that they had their books the first day of class. That's really what matters to them. But then they give us feedback. They let us know if the materials, at that point, they don't care that they're free. They care that they're quality. And so we got a lot of good feedback about the materials that we were using at the time. And again, the great thing about OER, then we can make changes to the materials very quickly. So we did get good feedback about the quality of the materials. And we did get very positive reviews on the fact that we were saving them money and giving them access right away. So students do appreciate those things. And I was talking with someone earlier, just this whole idea of, to me, knowledge should be free. We shouldn't have these exorbitant prices on the things that we, like these gatekeepers. Well, you can learn math, but only if you spend $200 on a resource. Baloney. Math's been around forever. It's not like it's changed that much. So at least the level that we're teaching. So students really appreciate, I think, our attempts to get our hands around bringing those resources to them in ways that they can access them. And we did see that in our survey and in the comments that we got from students. And in the work that I'm doing at Rio now, I'm starting to get comments, because it's still pretty new for us, from students that had taken the course before with the previous materials, and students that are taking it now, because they're not always successful, the first time. So they come back like, whoa, last time I took this class, it was totally different. I like this so much better. So I'm getting really positive feedback about what's happening at Rio. Thanks.
Sana, yeah, Annapurna.
So, students, I'm going to piggyback on what Donna said. One, yes, they really appreciate the costs are low because of the resources being provided to them, and they don't have the textbook cost. What we did with our upper division courses, um, in our resources review, that assignment, we asked them, because now they've become fans of being able to find resources, to doing through the library research and things like that. We've told that they have to also find resources that are related to the module content and share back with us. So they find resources. So now our bank of resources for every module is not only what we as faculty found, the students have also added to our bank. So I think that is also a big addition to us, that we've made them a part of the journey towards this OER, so that they feel as empowered as we have started feeling.
I'm going to talk a little bit about more on this one, and I want to point out a couple of things. As you know, more everybody in math uses more, and it's great because as you move from class to class, you always see the same system, the same LMS. At the same time, sometimes there's a fit that can happen that these courses become very stagnant. It's the same. Some people might rest on their what they created and they never update anything. And one of the best feedback that I received from my students in my relation form and when I talk with them, it's incredible. My phone always goes on when I talk. Somebody online that is playing pranks with me, please stop. And so Andy Birch, huh. Joking, not Andy. So where was I? And so what I started doing is what I do for my classes. That I create these data-driven current project that it's often about things that are happening in the last few years. Where it's something, it could be about climate change, it could be about the growth of electric cars, and things like that. And every time the students appreciate this effort of creating assessment that is in the LMS and that it's also in the lecture. And I know for some of you, it's like, this is obvious because in Canvas, that's what you do, right? You upload a project, but in more, sometimes we don't do that enough. And that's one thing that we should do as mathematicians. But one thing that I noticed is that I finished college, now I teach in computer science. And because of my math background, I started creating assessment for computer science in more. And students actually really, really like that because now they can do all these little problems in the same way they do math, so they get a lot of way to check their understanding. So if I could pick one thing that I would like for you to listen to me about is that find a math colleague and ask them to create an assignment for you with a uses some data that you can do for your classes, because it's very easy to embed in Canvas. Just because it's in more doesn't mean that they have to go into more and you have to go into more. Somebody can a math faculty can create the assignment for you in more and plug it into Canvas, and the student can access it from Canvas without even know that they went into more. And it's a great way for them to practice some data skills, for example, Excel, spreadsheets, things like that they're going to be useful for them no matter their degree. All right, that's it.
I thank you both for those comments, or all of you for those comments. And Annapurna, thank you for encouraging your students to use library resources too. I love that also because it encourages students to see themselves as where their place in that community of scholarship exists too, that they're not just passive observers, that they actually co-create with instructors. So I think that's a beautiful thing. And from the library perspective, we're really concerned about stewardship of our resources. We spend a lot of money to have access to this amazing content, and we really want people to use it. So when we talk about impact on student learning, even them knowing that a library exists and that information exists behind a paywall that will not be available to them when they are not affiliated with an institution of higher education is hugely important. I think a lot of times that understanding of the disparity of access is not really something that most folks are aware of unless you work in this field. So I think that's a really important lesson to learn. I also appreciate that what Filippo is. I'm sorry, Filippo. Okay, said about increasing the access to knowledge checks within the LMS. That's a focus that we're really putting on the stuff that we're developing this year through Open Maricopa grants. Is creating a lot more H5P knowledge checks. So that we help break up some of that text that's in a Pressbook, or so we break up some of the content that's in a Canvas module, and so that students have the ability to test themselves before they actually go and do their assignment or do their project. And the thing that I think is so beautiful about that, because I'm learning it again, I was out of it for a while when I was a library chair, and now I get to have this amazing opportunity to kind of back in developing OER, which I love. And you learn when doing that, that you get to contribute back to this amazing community of folks building OER. I'm so grateful to all of the folks who have built Pressbooks and who have built H5P activities that I can look at and be like, oh man, I didn't know you could do that. Or, oh wow, look how they did that. And then, so rather than just copying their content, I'm really trying to be intentional about building content based on what sort of looking at the building blocks of what they've created so that we can continue to contribute to that bank that we all get to profit from. And I think about, it's not just my students that are going to benefit from it at my college. It could be students anywhere that have access to an open text like that. And any other faculty members that are doing this work, they also get to benefit from that because they don't have to build it themselves. So I'm really grateful for everybody else for putting out the ladder there that I could climb.
Great, thank you. And we also are going to be hearing from a student panel later this morning as well. So it'll be really, I think interesting to hear about their experiences with OER in their courses and kind of comparing their thoughts with ours. So let's pivot to the future. Annapurna, what are your plans for continuing OER work in the future in your discipline, or expanding perhaps? What's next for you?
Now, fortunately, that we have our courses with at least the foundation of the OERs and also now the library resources, it doesn't stop there. The second time you teach the class, you want to add or you want to edit, you want to change out a resource and things like that. Now that the students have given us, we've got now a bank of resources. So yes, we are going to tap into that to be able to change it around, spice it up for ourselves, for the students as well. Also, we are able to easily provide them those resources. Now, with the OERs for our lower division, we are doing the same because it's time now for us to be able to relook at those, to be able to, like Paula said, be intentional about building those resources rather than taking it just as is. That's what we've started doing with the courses.
For me, it's all about coding and AI. It's as you know, AI, as you all know, right? It's part of our life, and one of the things that is going to impact the most for my students in computer science is going to be that AI is very easy to code. You don't have to worry about being a fast typer because you're not. You just need to be a fast talker because AI will create code for you, and that can be leveraged in a couple of ways. One is for the students; they need to be aware of how to use it to create code basically. And that's what I add into both my math classes and my computer science classes. But what I would like to actually do from the faculty professional development perspective is the ability to create expand with more faculty to be able to code in more to create their own question by actually using AI to help them that. And that shouldn't be too complicated. I mean, it's not going to be easy, but by creating a chatbot basically that it specializes in more. And I think that would be something that is in my future plans. We'll see.
Paula.
I think that's a great suggestion about the building of question banks. We know there's a lot of disciplines out there that are having trouble transitioning to OER because the publisher text after all of this value add with the banks that they have. So I would love to see other faculty who like math. Math has really led the way. I would love to see other faculty who are in some of these other disciplines where it's difficult to make that transition to help build those question banks with some support. And I think also just helping to tell the story. One of the things I really want to invest some time in is being a bit better about the tracking. Like I need to get with you, Debbie, about your tracking because it's so hard. I mean, I presented at a library conference in the fall about the impact on our students financially of building OER for even just one semester. And I was blown away by those numbers for one semester. And so I think being able to take a look at more of the past, especially newer programs, like we have a game design program at PPCC, and we were able to help them transition many of their texts using library subscription to ebook content. So it was great. And I feel like we can do more of that, and we can tell the story that to faculty who are maybe on the fence about whether or not they want to develop by just saying, you don't have to do it all on your own. We can work collaboratively, or we can use some of these other sources as a support until you're ready to build it fully OER. But thank goodness for Open Maricopa and supporting all that work. And again, super grateful.
Thank you, Paula and Filippo. And I'm glad you brought up AI because it's not even the elephant in the room. It's sitting at all of our tables with us now. So for me, OER, I'm going to be continuing to transition the courses here at Rio to fully OER. I have about 8 courses left with the work of some awesome people that are developing and helping support that. And then I would like to go back once they're all in more and then look at the assignments, make some more authentic assessments along the way, and then address the issue of AI with our students. But I will say I went to a session at Open Ed in Providence, and the Open Ed this year is in Denver. It's very close, so I highly advocate. That's a fantastic conference. And there was a presenter that was a chemistry teacher that took an OpenStax chemistry and put it into ChatGPT and said, help me create the following supplemental resources, a quiz bank, a vocab list, lesson plan, blah, 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 blah. And it, of course, in 5 seconds popped out, what would have taken him hours and hours. And then he compared it to the supplements that OpenStack was already presenting, and he said it was spot on. So for those of you, like Paula said, that ancillaries are a big part of instruction. But if it is an open source item, then AI can help us to create those resources for our students. And so that's a really fabulous use of AI. So if you haven't tried that, I highly, highly recommend it.
Fabulous. Oh, this delay. Thank you all for that. So we have just a few minutes left, and I had added a selfish question in at the end that I wanted to ask. And so briefly, and you all don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I always like to know, like I started this session off by saying the best part about being on the Open Maricopa team is getting to hear from people about what they're doing. So I'd love to know if you could give someone in this room a piece of advice if they wanted to tackle a project sort of similar to what you have been working on. What would your one brief piece of advice be, as we have but 3 minutes left?
My piece of advice would be to find a day, or if you cannot find a day, 6 hours, and where you can hide in a library, in a coffee shop, and research that thing that you want to add to your course, and you'll find it, and you'll find your OER, you'll find that somebody has done something similar, because your great idea was also another great mind things alike, and then use that time to bring it to your course. That would be my piece of advice.
Piggyback on that and say, don't be afraid, because I think, there may be this perception that, oh, if I can't do my whole course OER, it's not worth doing. Pick something small, like Filippo said. Pick an activity. Pick, a lesson, and explore and see how you can slowly make that transition. You don't have to do it all at once.
I'm going to add that we have a lot of resources around us, because it's not like when this movement of OER started, there's lots there available right now. So it's not as scary as it was earlier. Look around, and the best one place to start is at the CTL at your college. The other place is the library. 2 places you can get started, and then you'll embark on your journey.
I'm just going to say, make friends. I mean, honestly, some of the folks that I met and doing my OER work have been, they really enriched my life. Jessica Parsons right here in this room, and she's enriched my life. I'm going to make her cry. But, at my college, I get to work with not just other faculty who are working on this, but so many staff too. We have an amazing graphic designer in our CTL, Sam Fraulino, who's making beautiful book covers. I could go on to Canva and do that, but why would I if I have someone who can build this amazing content for me, and also highlight the work of folks out there who are providing free photography and Unsplash or Pexels or wherever you're going for your images. It's kind of an amazing. It's a beautiful thing. So it's a big playground out there. Make friends, and yeah, don't give up. Any of you that have dug through Merlot or any of the repositories know how much persistence it takes to find exactly what you want to look for, but there's really great stuff out there and folks are willing to share.
Great. Thank you all so much. Let's give our panelists a round of applause. Thank you so much for being willing to share your work, what you're working on next,